Yeah.
Hello? Hello, hello.
I think we're good.
Wait, shouldn't we be able to hear like one on the other?
Huh?
No, we're not.
Wait, I can try to
It's all
go.
the same call. I'm like,
I can hear you on Zoom, but
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, fantastic.
would someone on YouTube be able to say? No, they can't. It's just like a.
Oh.
There's 4 people there. Can someone chat?
Yeah, in the
Can
chat.
someone say something in the chat if you can hear us on YouTube?
There's 4 people.
Wait, can other people chat or is it just us? No, everyone can.
Oh, they can hear.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we're all good then. Okay, I'm gonna turn the volume off on this. This stuff doesn't play noise. I'm turning the volume off on this so it doesn't play noise out loud.
If people are comfortable with it, just show their faces, and if not,
Oh yeah.
violence, I'll figure it out. That's a very common
Oh gosh. Okay.
But one of my
it is 2:02. We're going to get started at 2:05.
Okay.
Yeah, because if people are walking in, that's okay.
Yeah, we'll leave the doors open.
Okay. Make sure you guys hit record as soon as she starts talking.
Recording
Okay.
is.
It's already started? Okay. Need to be recorded.
No, I just started like 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you tell you?
there's already 12 people on Zoom.
Hi friends, welcome. I want to thank you all so much for coming to this event. It's lovely to see all of your beautiful faces and the folks who are on Zoom and YouTube live streaming. This is the kickoff to a partnership between Solidarity Beyond Walls and the CJA. Solidarity Beyond Walls is doing a traveling speaking tour in the time period of Lent, in order to create a network across North Carolina of abolitionist activists. The speaking tour that is highlighting incarcerated voices. Daniel Allen, who is here with us today, will be sharing his story. He was previously incarcerated, as well as we will be having Robert Manning and Christopher Jacobs calling in from Nash Correctional, and they will be sharing with us our stories, like their stories as well for us. Around 3:30, if you have to go, feel free to make your way out. And for those who can stay, we'll have a more informal chat and Q&A session. Daniel will be hanging around. Linda is also here as a member of Solidarity Beyond Walls, and we're in that group. And we're just so excited to all be together today and for this. Any final thing? Oh, you might have like a pan around, so if everyone's comfortable, just like making sure that you're in the video and confirm that I don't wait your face for the live stream. Yes, consent on that. Awesome, amazing. Oh yeah. Also, we have information pages about Solidarity Beyond the Walls. So before you leave, please pick one up. As well as like this is an opportunity to get involved with abolitionist organizing. So leave your name and your contact information, and Solidarity Beyond Walls and CJA will like loop you into the larger movement that we are working towards. At this time, I'm going to introduce Daniel Allen, who's going to come up and share a little bit about what it was like for him to be on the inside and what his vision for social changes. So if we could give him a warm welcome.
Sorry, I just started. I'm Daniel Allen, and I was actually incarcerated for a very long time, 23 years and 5 months. I went to trial, plead not guilty. I was not guilty. I plead not guilty. But the system, you know how it works. You know, they bring up your past. I haven't always been a good guy, but in this situation, I wasn't guilty, and I just knew I was going to win. I went to trial and get 21 to 28 years, and I did 23 and 5 months. And even after I completed my time, they still wouldn't let me be free. They said, well, we need 9 more months to watch you out here. So in September, I actually just completed that part of it, to actually be free from everything and start my life. While I was in there, you know, you can imagine, I experienced a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen people get killed. I've seen a whole bunch of terrible things. When I was in prison, the most things that I've done was advocate for the weak, because there's a lot of people that's in prison that don't belong in there. They really have a lot of mental health issues, and they don't belong in prison. They belong in a mental health institution. But I be talking to Simmons and stuff, and one admitted that it was $1,400 a day to have a mental health patient inside the facility, whereas versus it might cost $60 a day for an inmate. So now they've taken mental health people and put them inside of a prison with dangerous people that will kill you. You know, it's not right. And I was like an advocate for them. Like I always stuck up for the weak people and the people that was really didn't know what prison was all about. So when I see them come in, because some guys they sit around and plot on the newcomers. They watch and you know they plot. They see that they're not all right in the head, so they say, "Hey, you need to tell your people send some money, or you ain't gonna make it." Stuff like that. So me, I was the type to watch stuff like that, and like, nah, I know him from the street. That ain't happening. They hated me for it, but they couldn't do nothing about it. Because I had the same mentality as them. All of this time, the same thing you do to me, I'll do to you. So that's how I made it through prison. Mostly because I advocated for the things that was unjust. Like when officers assaulted inmates and stuff, I would get them together. Let's write a petition, try to get this officer out of here because he's not only angry at home, he's bringing it to work. And they have like a grievance system set up where if you have a complaint, you fill out a form, and this form is supposed to go to people that's gonna correct the situation. But it's like this: Sam and her friend. I write a grievance on Sam. She give it to her friend. You're gonna do nothing. So it's a system inside a system that's working for them. And so, and a lot of times these people that's mental health don't know how to write or anything. They just in there. It's a really, really bad situation for them. But I told them before I left, I said, I'm not gonna forget you guys, man. I'm gonna do something for y'all when I get out. And so before I got out, I joined SWB. Like they was helping me with a lot of stuff. I would see like things that was wrong. The COVID situation was going on. They ain't have masks for us, but the officers had masks. And the only way we can get sick is if they bring it inside the prison. I'm like, man, y'all ain't gonna complain about this, y'all. They scared to stand up for anything because of repercussions. So being that they wouldn't, and I didn't care about the repercussions, I always, reach out to people that I know to say, look, man, this is a situation here, and we need some help. And that's how I met Greg, who's not here yet. He's a part of SW. And he was like, man, the stuff you be doing, you're not afraid. I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of nothing. And so he began to work with me and tell me what I need to do. He said, take this paper, get everybody to sign and put their complaints in. And I did. And he seen that I had a lot of power inside the prison. So I'm like, yeah, they're going to sign for me because they know I'm not going to do nothing that cause them harm, but everything to help. So even though I left, I still wanted to help. And so I was doing that, and then until all the way till I got out, And the first day I got out, I called Greg. I said, "What do you need me to do?" And he was like, "Man, I didn't think you was gonna really call." I was like, "Man, you guys was there for me. I'm not gonna forget about those guys that's in there." And ever since that day, I've been a part of it. And then they connected with community justice, evolution, and anti-racist group. And that was like a platform for me because we was having a lot of Zoom meetings with senators, judges, mayors, and everything. And they was listening, but still things wasn't getting done on the inside because it's just like a lot of those guys have investments in the prison. Prison is like a bank account. When you go in there, that's money for them. So they don't want to fix the problem. Like I said, most people inside the prison are mental health. They're not real bad criminals. And you can tell when they come in here because they're like, what in the world is this? And those are the ones who usually end up getting hurt. And I just wasn't for that. I wasn't for, those type of people not having no power or no justice or no rights. And so I stuck up for those guys, and I'm still gonna stick up for them to this day. During the time I was incarcerated, I used my time wisely. I took all the educational classes they afforded me. It's free education. I'm getting brick mason, carpentry, you name it, I took it. And a lot of times, like the administration, they see who's doing what, and they know, like, they used to tell me I'm a slickster. Why are you not doing bad like the rest of the people? Why are you trying to do this right here. You must got, a reason. Like thinking, well, he must be trying to get something in through school. No, it's because I want something to have when I get out of prison. Although I have all these certificates, when I got out, really no one would give me a chance because when you tell them the amount of time you've been incarcerated, they get paranoid immediately. 23 years, this man is dangerous. But it's not even like that, even without giving you a chance. Just hearing that 23 years and 5 months, the things I've seen and suffered, you can stand up for somebody. I don't went to the segregation for people I'm standing up for. I see the officer punch. He put the guy in handcuffs, punch him in the face. Oh, you don't listen to me on. Man, you ain't gonna do that again. I tell him, oh, you going to the hole too. I go to the hole with the guy. The guy they come and talk to the guy. Look, let your face heal up. We're gonna let you out. They leave me in it because they know they say I'm like uproar, I start problems. So they're like, don't worry, we're gonna let you out. You was wrong, right? They convinced him that he was wrong. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have did that. And when I'm getting out, 3 more days, you get out. Stuff like that. So a lot of that stuff is still going on in there. Like I said, the grievance system that they have for the prison doesn't do nothing for the person that's writing it. Because if you write it on me, it's going to my friend. And what he gonna look at it and put it in the shredder. And sometimes when you think you're too smart, they'll beat you up and put you in the hole for writing a grievance on certain individuals. And I've been in a lot of prisons, maybe like 12 different prisons, because everywhere I go, I advocate for what's right. And so I experienced a lot of what do you call it? It's injustice on me, but I did it for a reason. The same reason why I'm standing up here now, trying to advocate to you guys, because a judge once wrote me in a decision. You have to have the society involved. When she said it like that. She said you have to have the public interest. So if you guys are young in college, and if you're interested in, injustice and making things better, the first thing you want to complain about is rehabilitation inside the prison. Instead of just warehousing prisoners, you need to rehabilitate them. Look, you can't get a job until you get your GED. That way, when they get out of prison, they have something to fall back on. But that's not how it goes in there. The first thing they tell you, you're gonna work in the kitchen or clean up the dorm for 40 cents a day. That's what you're gonna do. They're not concerned, you see. So until people get involved, like you guys, know what's going on, you have like pen pal stuff. I ain't saying get the pen pal to get a relationship. Get the pen pal to get information on what's going on, because you guys are gonna be the voice of those who can't really speak for themselves. And a lot of guys in there cannot speak for themselves. I just have so much to say, but I have little time. But it starts with you guys. Sorry, y'all. He must can't find his way in. This is great. Sorry. Yes, great. I'm gonna give you the sound because I'm speaking. She'll guide you in there. Yes. So it starts with not only me but you guys too. If you become interested and interested that you stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, it'll make things very different. Now, a lot of people should be in prison and away from society where they can hurt people and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, 60% of the people in there are in there. They don't even know what's going on. They don't even know about these sentence. They're just there, like they in another whole world, and I'm not making this up. If they would let me take y'all on a tour, I'll show you the mental health. And when you like that and you're in that state of mind, it's very dangerous for you because people trick you. They trick you when you first come in. Hey man, you got family now you on drugs. Now you owe them money. You know what comes with that when you can't pay? Bad things happen, Just I come from a good family. I was always very conscious. The way I carried myself allowed me to be able to go to any prison. People listen to me. No matter who they is, what gang they belong to, they listen to me. And they know I ain't gonna tell no lie and I'm not afraid. No matter how many of y'all it is. Because sometimes when you represent truth, it stands over all the knives and everything. I've been in a situation I'm surrounded by knives. And I'm telling these two groups of people, you can't go against each other because we all in here together. Oh, he clutching, he finna. I'm saying nobody's gonna do nothing. I'm right here, it's gonna have to get me first. And they respect stuff like that. And then I take them to a side, like, look, why would y'all keep stabbing each other up and we all in here together? It doesn't even make sense. But in prison, they don't have stuff to teach you how to go on the straight path. They want you to stab each other up so they can justify all the money they get for to control you. Like, oh, we need more staff and we need millions, we need this. You're not doing nothing to help the people. When I got out of prison, because before I got out, I kept saying, ain't I supposed to take a class for a re-entry? Like, don't I supposed to have something to re-enter to society? Like, do you have something for me to go back out in the world after all of those years and teach me something? They didn't give it to me. They think you're too smart for all of that. You didn't do nothing. When I got out, I had nothing. I just had a good family who was there for me and showered me an abundance of things, cars, clothes, everything, so that I wouldn't go back. But not everybody has those opportunities. And so when they come out, they're lost. They can't get no job because they got no education. They was on drugs the whole time they was in there. So what are they going to do? They're looking for more drugs now because now they have to get it abundantly. And then some of them get to a point where they just say, I'm going back where I know what I know. And that's how they end up back in prison. So I'm happy to be able to speak to you guys because the youth of the world is the power of the world. They're the ones who are gonna actually run the world. We all gonna be going, they're gonna be running the world. And so if you know the problems now, you won't have a lot of the problems later because you already prepared for it. So, yes, anything. Ask me anything, but know that I'm gonna tell you the truth. Don't ask me if people get raped and that. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you how it happens, how they trick them into it. So ask the question, but know that I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not gonna water it down. So I answer any question. Okay. Okay.
Is there other steps that students can see very clearly towards the goal?
Yeah, so I was asking, are there other steps besides pen pals that folks like us who are students or student activists can take to become involved?
Yes, and SBW is a big part of that. What they do, they have a lot of people writing from prison saying what's going on in the prison. Later on, we're going to get calls from prison. You can actually speak to these guys. So I'm out, but they still in. They're going to actually answer you whatever you want to know that's going inside the prison. So if you get with SBW, just for the linking of knowing what's going on inside, they get thousands of letters with people saying what's actually going on inside the prison. Yes.
You kind of said that the correctional officers would be not only if you were taking classes, would they make it harder for you to actually attend the classes?
Well, the thing about it is, the administration knows that the classes are their money. They get paid for you going to school. But a person like me who was a convict, they think that you're up to something because you want to go to school. You don't want to do crazy stuff. You want to be in school. So why do you want to be in here? What are you trying to do? That's their first thing. Like, what is he up to? But it's good to now they actually took all of those classes out of it. only because they say officer got killed with a fire extinguisher. Had nothing to do with school, but they said you can't have the stuff that show you how to do brick mason and all that stuff. So yes,
So you said that you did some stuff like, put together a petition to, get rid of like the bar, like correctional officer. What are some of like the other like initiatives you've done?
that's what I'm saying, and you really hope this because the only thing you have is that piece of paper to write the complaint on. Now, if you write it on the wrong officer, him and his friends, this is honest God truth, will take you to a blind spot in the prison and beat you, put you in the hole and chain you to the bed with just your boxes on for like 2 days. You know, only time you come out the chain is for to eat, you know. And so you really don't have no way to complain. That's my whole thing. You don't have no one to really complain to. That's your friend. I write something on you, you take it to look what he wrote on you. What's she gonna do? She's gonna put it in the trash can. That's what's happening in there. They need a system outside the system for those that are complaining can actually get some help.
Thank you, Daniel, and we'll give you more time to ask Daniel questions after, but right now, quickly before our report in national correctional calling, we're gonna have Sally come up and speak. Sally's just gonna share with us a little bit about specifically those of us who are in the room who identify as like people on the outside who are doing activist, fighting work. Yeah, the floor is yours. Sorry.
Capitol Wise, and I was at the other one, so sorry about that. But anyway, our group, Solidarity Beyond the Walls, has been in existence maybe about 4 years. Have you had this introduction already?
Oh, here you go.
Okay, good. So we are sponsored by Abiding Savior Lutheran Church in Durham on Austin Avenue, right across from North Carolina.
Okay, sorry, Sally. So, how coming in is Robert and Christopher, and they're.
Prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Robert
an inmate, Nash Correctional Institution.
We will also be able to ask them questions. They have a lot of record words that have time. Plus, we can get questions, be like extra instead of right. And then we'll go from Robert to Christopher and next to the time. So.
Oh, we got. Hello?
Hello?
Oh, this is a good friend of mine that we did time together. He's been incarcerated for 21 years since he changed. And his name is Robert Daniel. He's gonna kind of, tell you what's going on inside there and, give you answers to questions. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Manning, and I've been incarcerated for 21 years. I'm currently housed in Nash Correctional in North Carolina. First, let me say I appreciate the CJA and Solidarity Beyond the Walls, and as well as Daniel Allen for giving me an opportunity and a platform to let everyone that wants to know what's really going on from an unbiased perspective, with all transparency. And just I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you giving me your time and your ear. So when Daniel first asked me to speak, I thought about it, and there's so many things to speak on, and there's so many things that you go through daily, that when someone asks you to kind of narrow it down to certain talking points, it's kind of overwhelming. But then Daniel was a good friend of mine, so once I thought about it, I said, well, one of the main things that is on the forefront of most people's mind is the mental health of individuals that's incarcerated, the mental health of people that's coming in, and the mental health of people who've already spent quite a good amount of time in the penitentiary. And both of those subjects are subjects that don't get they get little respect, and they don't really highlight main problems that come along with doing time. And for example, in Nash, there's over 300 people on Mrs. Walco's mental health list. And so she has responsibility. She's a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. So she has the daunting task of speaking to over 300 men about their mental health. And over half of those men are men that take what you call direct observation medication, which means those guys have to take medication that's so powerful that they have to be directly observed by either a nurse or a trained officer that knows they take their medication correctly. So when you have that kind of workload and you couple that with 2 other camps that need her assistance as well, how many people actually get seen in one day or 1 week or 1 month? It's a very small percentage. And so when I sat back and thought about it, I said, well, once I started talking about these things, where people really believe that when you come to prison, that mental health is an important thing, well, I'm here to tell you it's very important, because almost 87% of the people who are incarcerated are going back out to the community. And so when you haven't taken care of mental illness or mental disease or your mental health in general, it is quite often to the detriment of not only the person that goes back into the community, but the community as a whole. So that person is 9 times out of 10 coming back because of unresolved mental health issues. So for myself, being in prison for so long, it's a testament to not really myself, but my support group that has kept me mentally stable, because you see things in here that you can't unsee. Once you see something that's so shocking, it's like seared into your brain and you can't unsee it. So years of that, coupled with years of isolation and fear of physical abuse, fear of dying in prison, fear of not knowing if your family is okay. But who's a human thing to anybody, no matter what crime you committed that you think about. So going through this and having support from my family, it's really kept me stable. It's given me an opportunity to work on myself spiritually, work on myself mentally, and work on myself physically. Because the person that's speaking now hasn't always been this person. It's taken time, effort, ups and downs, and really soul searching, to be quite honest. But it's so many things that mental health plays a role in. And just thinking, and as I've talked to you guys, I'm in a block that houses about 21 mental health individuals that range from guys who are around about talking to themselves honestly to guys you absolutely have to keep your eye on at all times. And so it's scary, but it becomes normalized, because not only do the officers don't know what to do with these individuals, the administration as a whole doesn't know what to do with the individuals. So they continue to place them in places that they feel are safe for them, but it's not really safe for anybody. So I want to let you guys know that mental health is a serious, serious thing. And once you start really looking at the whole problem, it's not an easy fix. It's not something that you can just say, well, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and it'll be fixed. It's more of, it's going to take a systematic approach. It's going to take from top to bottom, redoing, rethinking, reassessing how people handle people with mental health issues and people who are experiencing mental health breakdowns due to incarceration. And incarceration is for a reason. Like, there's people that's in here that need to be here. It's things that I've done that I'm paying a price for, and I understand it. But while you're in here, inhumane treatment is something that happens every day. So when you inhumanely treat an individual that's already having mental health issues, you are exasperating already a problem that's going to keep reoccurring and reoccurring. And so it's like a ticking time bomb. And we all know what happens with a bomb. When it goes off in a way that nobody really expected. So my hope today is me speaking and sharing some things and giving you guys some insight on what it means to really have help. It comes down to having support. It comes down to knowing that you have somebody when you're in a pinch. They're going to come, call, write, or check with an individual to make sure that you're okay. Because again, we're all human beings, whether you're on that side of the fence or this side of the fence. It's always helpful to know that you're supported, you have hope, and those things are what separates us from animals. Having hope and having the ability to know that people are really looking up for your best interests. I know that this conversation is trying to fit a lot into it, but I think some of the main talking points for myself will probably be how the administration really needs to have like I said, a top to bottom reassessment of how things are done. And I don't know what that looks like from my point of view, because I'm not a professional, I'm not an expert in mental health. I just know what experience has taught me. And the way things are going right now is not going to work. And most people don't realize that, like I said earlier, 87% of individuals in prison are eventually coming out. And so I would think if I was in a community that I would want the people that's coming back to my community to have the best help they can get, I would think. And that's just coming from somebody who's been here for such a long time and seen faces that I've seen before over and over again. So my goal for today is really just to bring awareness to mental health in the correctional system and just ask you guys to think about it when you move about your day. Even with people you see on that side of things, you never know what somebody's going through, and you never know why people do what they do. So you shouldn't just automatically judge, or you shouldn't automatically say this is criminal, or you shouldn't say they should know better, because sometimes people are going through so much that it's overwhelming. And one thing I've learned during the pandemic, if enough people come together, we can conquer anything. And it's right before us right now. This is a situation comparable to COVID. And the more people that we inoculate with the knowledge of fixing mental health and fixing it in a way that it covers all bases, the better the people will be that's coming back out into the communities. If you guys have any questions or want to mention anything or ask me anything, I would say have at it. Like I'm an open book, and I look forward to answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you. What programs do you think most helpful?
You had that, Robert?
Hey, Dan, you're going to have to repeat the question because the acoustics are, I can't hear.
She wants to know what rehabilitation programs that can be implemented to help out.
Oh, that's a good one. Rehabilitation, that word in itself sounds good, but you can't really rehabilitate something that hasn't been rehabilitated. If you never knew what it meant to be responsible, if you had a parent that was on drugs or abused and nobody's there or coming to foster care, you haven't had an opportunity to be rehabilitated. So I would have to say you would have to start at ground zero, teaching the youth and men what it means to be a compassionate human being, to have empathy. And so until you have a program that teaches all those things and teaches the basics about being human, anything else that's taught won't be able to stand up because the foundation is shaky. So I would say the number one thing I would have to say was teaching men how to be men, teaching the women and how to be women, and everything else will there.
you can go up to the phone so Robert can also hear your question.
Okay, they're gonna come close.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Sharon. I am a nurse and a fourth year PhD student in school of nursing. And I actually researched compassion. My question to you, what is compassion from your perspective? And how has your incarceration shaped that perspective on compassion?
Okay, that's an excellent question. Well, I start with, the first one. Compassion to me is having the ability to see a need and feel it. I would say that encompasses compassion. For me, what I've learned in prison, I come from a two-parent household. Every need and want was filled. I made decisions in my young man mind that I do what I wanted to do, and made terrible mistakes. But when I came to prison, I realized that decisions that I made were decisions that a lot of people in this position have made. But the difference for me was that my parents are compassionate people. My parents poured into me. Like I said, a feeling of knowing that even though I'm here, I'm still loved. And so being loved and understanding what love is, I'm able to see what people need in this position. And sometimes I'm able to help, not always. So I would say compassion to me is the ability to see a need and feel it. Like my parents taught me, even in a dark place, you can still be compassionate and show people around you what it looks like. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, there's no right or wrong answer. It's really nice.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm gonna call right there.
It's one thing I wanted to say to everyone before you go back. Him speaking out is sometimes consequences behind it, because they don't like you to expose what's going on inside the prison system. So now you all know. So when they do something, you know why they did it. And he's in college right now to get a degree. So there shouldn't be repercussions for him speaking the truth and wanting to make change. But that's how they work in there. You complain, like I told you, they'll take you somewhere and beat you up. Yes, sir.
You're also possible not use the call, right?
Yes. No, it's not free. No, it's not free. It costs about $1.65 for each call, and you get 15 minutes for each call. He's called me about 10 times. Yes. Nothing is free in prison. No cosmetics or nothing. Now, they have some stuff that don't work that they give you when you first come. It's supposed to last a month, but it only lasts about a week. But nothing is free in here. So you don't have a support system. You really are getting beat down mentally. You have to eat food that you would normally eat. And you really can't trust the people in the kitchen, because if they have a problem with you anytime they want, they can put stuff in your food. I worked in the kitchen in CP back in the days. I only worked there about 2 weeks. I couldn't do it. And I actually see them do certain stuff to the Kool-Aid. Urinate in the Kool-Aid. And you got to tell your group, don't drink that Kool-Aid. It's crazy. Hello?
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Robert Mann.
an inmate at Nash Correctional Institution. This call will be monitored and recorded. For customer assistance, collection, or complaint procedures, or to block future calls, dial 1-866-230-7761. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Someone's calling in 5 for the thing in front of my phone. I don't know. Someone's calling.
Thank you for using Global Link.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. You want to ask, how do I make some people go away? Okay, you have another question, Rob?
Okay.
Hi, we have a question from YouTube Live actually, and the question is, how do people on the outside hold those on the inside?
Okay, I would say to help somebody on the inside, it depends on, how invested you want to be. There's certain levels to the help, and it ranges from, light things for volunteering your time or, writing nice notes to actually mentoring or having conversations with the individual, really getting to know them. Now, the thing about getting to know someone in prison, is twofold. Actually, it might be three or fourfold. Um, Not everybody, has the ability to deal with the person in honesty, because if you haven't healed yourself or forgiven yourself or put yourself in a situation to grow, anybody you deal with is going to be for selfish reasons. It's going to be for a reason to get something, receive something, and that's just the honest truth. But when you wade through and find individuals worth pouring into, you'll be surprised how many guys are that toxic. For myself, I would say that, the best thing to do is use your judgment and get with a group of individuals that already know how to get in contact, with, I hate to call myself an inmate, offender, convict, because I'm a human. So when I hear the word, and I know people really don't understand it, but, besides those terms are so, dehumanizing that people don't know it because they just see on TV, inmate, convict, or offender. But just remember, we all human. That's a side note. I would just say to get with a group of people that know how to deal and know how to connect you with individuals that they fed properly. Because again, it's some heck of individuals in here. That's the best I can tell you. I would just say be careful, because not everybody wants to be healed. Not everybody knows how to be healed. And so I would just say be careful. And I would say the, solidarity, beyond walls is a good group of people to get with, because they'll put you with people that they know, want and need and are going to do right by you.
I have another question.
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My name is Isaac David. I was wondering how you were able to find money or passion within.
Well, it hasn't always been easy to find joy and passion. Finding yourself in a dark place, and not knowing how to get out. It's like a vacuum. It sucks all joy, light, peace, understanding, knowledge, all those things out of it. So it's basically, it depends on how you look at evolution, whether it's a big bang or, God's creation. For me, I look at God's creation. And so I look at what it took for me, what it's going to take for me to be a better person. So I had to look within myself. And once I started seeing my faults and not blaming individuals for choices I made, I slowly was able to get back to a point where I could see myself as a better person. And it hasn't always been easy, like it's ups and downs, but it's also, I attribute my family a lot as well. My mom, she's been with me day for day, literally day for day. If you ask her, she'll tell you she knows prison like the back of her hand. You can't tell her anything, you can't trick her, she knows. I don't know how mamas do it, but they do it. And my mom is a person that has continued, along with my dad and a host of family and friends, have continued to pour in me. So once I was found I was still connected and I wasn't forsaken, and my family had forgiven me and I forgiven myself, I slowly was able to see life, and I was able to get back to being a human being and understanding that we all fall short of the glory of God. And for me, getting back outside, playing basketball, running around, lifting weights, and reading. And so once you get the little joys, those little things, and find those little connections, the joy seed grows, and it enables you to reach out. And like what I'm doing now, I never saw myself in a million years having a conversation with anyone about mental health, about how I do time and what my experiences have been. So it was like full circle. So this is a joy for me right now, being able to talk to someone and talk to several people about my experiences and what it means to be an incarcerated individual.
Yeah, 5 minutes, bro. I wanted to, I was, when we went on to call back, I told you about the risk of taking, putting out there what's going on, inside the prison. So, from your perspective, what could happen to you by revealing the site of information?
Oh man, like me you talk, I had to battle with myself. I really didn't let my parents and friends know how retaliation is getting prison. If you step outside their line of what you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to know, how you're supposed to act, they have a big stick for you. So when you're a hammer, everybody looks like a nail, and that's really how prisons operate. So for me to even, for instance, it's a situation going on in Alexander right now, where the use of force is being used on guys for reasons that use of force should be used. And I'm understanding as things have been told to me how they're being retaliated against by getting in contact with Solidarity Beyond Walls, getting in contact with other nonprofits to let them know what they're experiencing. And once the powers that be find out that you're in contact with somebody that has the potential to help you or the potential to get in contact with the news or any kind of media, online, Facebook, or whatever the case may be, they try to hush you up by going in your cell, tearing up your stuff, taking your phone book, cutting off your phone calls so you can't use the phone. Just a litany of ways that they do things. But I feel that by me speaking today, I'm not looking at the risk. I know that I'm speaking for the voiceless right now. Not everybody can do what I'm doing, so I can't not step out on faith and know I'm going to be covered and protected by prayers and by doing the right thing. I want to do the right thing, and sometimes it hurts to do the right thing, and I didn't always operate in that. But with 21 years comes experience, and being in here and seeing so much pain, it doesn't actually numb you. It's quite the opposite. It's more of it makes you even more sensitive to pain. It makes you be able to realize that you see it in little ways and in big ways. So I'm going to tell the truth for the guys who can't speak in Alexander, for the guys who can't speak in Bertie or Pastor Tank or any of those other closed custody camps where they're literally getting beat up every day for telling the truth.
Thank you, Robert, so much for sharing, and I'm just gonna let the room applaud you for giving
Yes, ma'am. He's gonna call. He's gonna call back. Right now, after we end this call, he's gonna call back and he'll be the next one up. I really want to say I appreciate you guys. I really, really do. It's kind of hard being a busy body. Just I'm imagining faces, but I can't see the faces. But you guys make me feel comfortable. You make me feel welcome, and you make me feel like I know what I'm talking about. And I don't know all the time if I do, but today I felt like I brought some perfect information to you guys, and hopefully that it's something you guys can think on and talk on, and hopefully reach out and we can have further conversations about how we can be better here.
And Robert, I have to tell you, we have a beautiful photo of you up on the screen in front of everyone, and it's you smiling in front of sunflowers. So you might be able to see
Oh, yeah,
but we can see your
Okay, hey, thank you. Again, I appreciate you. I'm gonna let Chris call back now. And matter of fact, that picture that you're seeing, That's one of my mom's favorite pictures. She's like, that's her sunflower picture. So, again, you guys, thank you for making me feel welcome, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know my mom's listening. I love you, Mom.
Because Christy's gonna call back. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'm glad y'all got a chance to speak with Robin and ask some questions, because they're still going through what I already been through. And like I said, a lot of people in there, and you can ask them. A lot of people have no idea even where they at. They're mental health patients. They're not prisoners. They're not, what do you call them? A person that, you know, is supposed to be inside a prison. They're supposed to be in a mental health institution getting help. You guys are gonna be the voice, you know, if you make that decision for those guys who can't speak for themselves. I mean, I'm gonna do my part. For the most of it, the youth they listen to the youth. The youth changes things because you're the ones who are going out and voting and everything now. So they really pay attention to what you guys want and vote on. You know, the older people, they think they just making erratic decisions. But the youth, they're the ones who's gonna be the future. So I appreciate you guys even listening. Excuse me.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Robert Bannon.
an inmate at Nash Correctional Institution. This call will be printed and recorded for customer assistance, collection, or complaint procedure, or thank you for using Global Tail Link.
Hello? Hey, how you doing, man?
All right, here you go. You right on right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Brief baseline information. My name is Christopher Jacob. I'm currently serving a juvenile life sentence. I've been incarcerated since I was 16, and I'm in the 27th year of my incarceration. I want to say, kind of situating what I'm going to say today. I don't intend anything I say to in any way diminish my culpability for my crime. You know, I'm simply here on behalf of the incarcerated people and to advocate for their rights and awareness towards issues of terms of confinement and conditions of confinement. I do want to offer a word of thanks to a couple of entities and some individuals. First of all, to the CJAA, thank you for hosting this event and providing us with a platform to solidarity beyond wall. Thank you for your efforts to create or seek out platforms for voices for oppressed people in our free communities as well as our incarcerated communities. And finally, I want to give a special thanks and a word of encouragement to Daniel Allen. Consider him to be a kindred spirit. Anytime you have served 2 or more decades in correctional institutions and you're able to maintain your sanity and your grasp on a life person, that is commendable. And I think that he stands as the antithesis to many of the stereotypes held about people who are either incarcerated or formerly incarcerated as being incorrigible or irredeemable. He's a good standard for many of us to follow. That being said, I know that Robert addressed kind of in a general way some of the issues concerning terms of confinement, some of the conditions here, and specifically mental health. What I'd like to actually do is kind of take a horizontal shift and adopt a more acute focus on a specific demographic, that being juveniles. It's an issue that is dear to my heart because I began my incarceration at the age of 16. I think it's important that we take an approach to juvenile offenders that is different than their adult counterparts because they're different types of offenders, they are different types of citizens, and quite frankly, they're different types of human beings. For the sake of argument, if anthropologically we define the human as being dual, mind and body, then in both of those generic categories, juveniles bear just tremendous generic distinctions from their adult counterparts. And so kind of focusing on just the idea of the brain of juveniles. They are, one of the things that's unique is they're kind of in this transitive period of life, and kind of at the forefront of this discussion is the underdevelopment or the immaturity of the prefrontal cortex. And this is really a gross oversimplification for the purpose of time constraint. But you might consider the prefrontal cortex as the executive center of the human mind, or maybe even the White House. It's where the big decisions are made. And simply for juveniles, it's still under construction. It's still in development. The gray matter of the brain is still taking form. And they simply are not who they will one day be in terms of just making rational, good, informed decisions. And kind of in concert with that, the limbic region of the juvenile brain is highly active, it's overactive, and this is the emotional center of the brain. And so oftentimes, what we can observe in terms of juvenile or adolescent behavior, it makes you say this either to someone of your daughters or you thought it to yourself. What is this person thinking? And the truth is, they're not thinking. They're acting. They're being impulsive. They don't respond. They react. And so the thing is, we can, to coin a phrase, we'll see some of these things and say, well boys will be boys. So whether it's, they're experimenting, they set gasoline on fire, they climb a tree or jump off of a house, it's typical behavior in youth. Where it becomes concerning is where we have to, as a society, draw a line is where kind of that harmless behavior becomes criminal behavior. And that's what I want to focus on, because obviously as a society we have to respond in some way, and we have to manage these individuals in some way. So by way of kind of situating this conversation, I've got to share an anecdotal story from early in my incarceration. I had been incarcerated for 11 years and was being housed in a special juvenile block in the county jail, and there aren't like janitors there, and so everyone is responsible for the general upkeep of your personal area and the common area, and so we devised a social contract of sorts, and so everyone was responsible for certain duties in our cell block. And we had a guy who he wasn't willing to buy in to our concept of commonwealth, and we ended up, myself and 3 other guys, we assaulted the guy. So we were moved to a kind of a draconian area in the jail. They no electronic panels, they control the doors. The doors are, you're in a concrete box with bars across one end. And we were housed in 2-man cells with one toilet and one sink. We were kept there for several weeks. We weren't allowed to come out and take showers. And after a few weeks, when they finally let us out of the cells, we responded in the way that you might expect. We kind of assumed some control of our life. We started tearing up what we could get our hands on, and I recall climbing up to the security camera, and the protective casing had already been damaged. And I pulled the lens out, threw it to the hallway, and shortly thereafter, the captain of the jail and some of his supporting staff, they come rushing into the block, and there's this this verbal exchange between he and I. And he kind of said, where's the camera lens? I said, well, I don't have it. I threw it in the hallway. You're going to have to find it or else we're going to. And he kind of, in an expletive fashion, he, said that they would assault me. And my response was, well, you can't do that because it's child abuse. I'm a kid. And so his comment, his response is something that shaped my development for years to come. He said, well, you aren't a kid when you guys robbed and killed that old man. And what occurred was, I didn't know it then, but I was forced to reframe my perception anthropologically and sociologically. And so I know this because these concepts are immensely important to juvenile mental health and their development in the carceral state. When I talk about anthropology, it's how I identify myself as a human being. That's going to inform how I evaluate other people as human beings. So it's self-perception, it's interpersonal perception. Something, the sociological issue, it's, how I involve myself in group processes. This is a formative period in the life of a human being. Now, I referred earlier about there being some distinctive characteristics that juveniles have that adults don't. Well, as human beings, we kind of move through three basic stages of cultural adoption as kind of toddlers and pre-adolescents, which is mimicking. So you might see it's kind of funny, but you'll see a baby pretending to smoke a cigarette because they observe one of their parents doing it. It's just doing what they see adults doing. In the adolescent, and post-puberty stage, we're acquiring identity and culture. And so this is why adult supervision is so important, because in the home or in the classroom, we will see a youth behaving exactly how we want to exhibit the behavior, because they're acquiring that culture and identity while they're being supervised. But then when they get around their friends, peer pressure comes into play, and they acquire that culture and that identity. And hopefully, ideally, we hope that they mature to a point where they begin to generate their own identity and they assume the good parts of culture as their own, and they become responsible adults. But that transient period, I can't stress how important it is that we approach that period with careful attentiveness, because listen, we're talking about people who range from 13 to 17 years old. Those are juveniles that were incarcerated. Well, the life expectancy in our country is 78 years for men and 82.5 years for women. The likelihood these individuals will one day rejoin society, it's highly likely. And so we're in a position to inform policy, to inform how we do criminal justice for our youth, and we're contributing to the types of people who will one day rejoin our society. The problem is that our criminal justice system, there's an indelible connection between colonial and post-colonial puritanical theology and values as associated with our criminal justice system. Now, I'm not going to sit here and devalue that there should be a punitive interest, but if we abandon, we're saying you spare the rod and you spoil the child. While there is some truth to that, I would probably respond to saying, well, he who abandons instruction, well, he courts destruction. And so we also have to couple that some of the punitive interests and methods with restorative goals also. Because like I say, one day all of these individuals, or most of them, will end up rejoining our free society. And so we all have a vested interest in their normal development and their mental health while they're here and after their release. And I suppose if there is there are any questions that anyone has.
Hi, Mr. Jacobs. My name is Christina Smith. I'm a school teacher. I taught middle school for a number of years, and a lot of what you're saying reminds me of like the research that we've had to try to help us in our classroom. I wonder if you could talk about what people refer to as the school to prison pipeline and how you see schools as contributing to maybe enforcing some of the patterns that the criminal justice system is also inflicting on our youth.
Right. Yeah, that's a excellent question, and thank you for asking. Yeah, so I think that the one of the points that I didn't hit on was
You have 60 seconds remaining.
we have a serious racial issue in our country. And so there are kind of these concomitant factors. You from particular socioeconomic backgrounds we know that they're more likely to enter the carceral state. And so they're almost earmarked from this. And if you're a minority,
You have 30 seconds remaining.
or an impoverished community, and you come from a single parent home, by default, you're going to prison. Guys, let me call back. Okay.
I feel like if you start with the youth before they get into adulthood, they'll already be conscious enough to not do things that they do. But that's why you have to have programs and stuff in your communities that help these juveniles, these kids, to grow up the right way. A lot of people don't have. I had two parents in the home as well, same as Robert. But a lot of people don't have that. They have single mothers. They're growing up in the projects. They doing what they see. They adapt to their environments. So they see this guy, he's selling drugs. I want to grow up and be like him. So they adapt into their environment. But if you put stuff in place and say, all right, you can attend this program right here at a very young age and start training their minds to think differently. When they grow up to adulthood, they'll be different people.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Robert Manning.
an inmate at Nash Correctional Institution. This call will be monitored and recorded for customer assistance. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello? All right, thank you. Yeah, so when you have those factors present, so we can anticipate what the outcome is going to be. And so if I said to you 1, then 2, then 3, you would anticipate that 4 is next. When we observe these conditions, we as a society, we have to make a concerted effort to interrupt that trajectory for those children. Now I'm speaking elementary level, middle school level. I think the problem is that in certain demographics, whereas we might tolerate some behavior or have programs for behavior in one demographic, in minority demographics, we criminalize typical just childish behavior. And that's unfortunate because there's nothing criminal about it. And I think Robert had spoke earlier this morning and asked a question about rehabilitation. He hit on the point that some kids are just simply never rehabilitated. They are like they're never loved on the way that they should be loved. Their children deserve to be loved on. They don't get to choose their family. They don't get to choose how they access the world that we live in. And yeah, when they have kind of these bad beginnings, I think the maximum whole shoe it takes the village to raise a child. It's all hands on deck. Whether it's someone like yourself, a school teacher, coaches, mentors, et cetera, et cetera.
name is Denise. I had a question, about, I was wondering like if you've ever, spent time, thinking about like the ideal society, what that looks like in terms of like how many intervening, kind of like this society would look like in terms of, just have like better childhood outcomes, so that like a lot of people come from certain backgrounds down to trauma.
Right. So, yeah, in a general sense, I think this is, so just having read, you know, something like the Spartan Society or Athenian Society or even some contemporary societies, how child rearing, child care, and education has been approached just heuristically some of the failures that we observed in other societies and our own, and how that should inform how we currently go about it and the goals that we set for the future. I think that legacy means a lot. Being honest with ourselves as adults and in cases where it's applicable as parents, where we are in life, what our failures have been, what our successes have been, and to try to invest in our children in such a way that uh, they have a better start than we did, and in hopes that they end up with a better finish. I know it's really difficult to navigate. I read a story, I don't know, a week ago in the USA Today that were talking about uh, adolescents being arrested in school. There's a story of a 5-year-old girl, I think her name was Kaya, and she has PTSD now because she was placed in plastic handcuffs when she was about 5 years old because she was acting out at school. And like obviously that's an example of what we should not do. But your question is, well, how should we go about it? And I think that I don't have any, specific practical suggestions, but in a general sense, I think that we have to approach it with values like love, compassion, wisdom, and just a general sense of improvement, I think is what I would say.
I just wanted to ask, if you have a lot of interest in like technology, what are
Well, uh, mm, I don't know that I would necessarily suggest anything anthropologically. Um, some of some of the things that I have read recently, or of obviously with more racial content. Isabel Wilkerson's Origin of Discontent. I think Ibram Kendi X. He has a lot to say about anthropology, human equality. And I think that those are adult ideas. I think those are ideas that we should in some way synthesize and present in a way that's palpable. Either something that we're teaching our youth directly, or just things that inform what we're sharing with our children about just what it means to be a human being, how they evaluate themselves, how they evaluate other people.
Thank you. My name is, I have a question for you. Based on what you know about the abolition movement from the inside, and would you identify yourself as an abolitionist?
Ideally, yes, I think that prison abolition that's an ideal goal. I just don't know as a society If we're at the stage of the process where that's achievable in maybe even our lifetime. So yes, because it is infinitely complex how you ensure civil behavior when people just aren't willing to act civil, people just aren't willing to follow laws. And we're not just talking about larceny, we're not talking about vandalism where people are raping, they're killing other people, they're assaulting other people. And I just don't, that may be a man too far, at least in my lifetime. But ideally, yes.
Hi, Mr. Jacobs. My name is Matt. I just wanted to ask if you've gone through any about any treated you.
So I am currently, as I said earlier, I'm in the 27th year of my incarceration. And thank you for asking that question. I have been waiting on a Miller hearing for about 10 years now. That's a hearing where they're going back and reviewing juvenile offenders to see if a sentence of parole, life of parole, is appropriate, and they will be eligible for parole after 25 years. Obviously, about 2 years overdue on that. And October of last year, I filed my petition with the governor's juvenile offenders review board, and as I understand it, my case was recommended for clemency the end of last year, and I'm currently waiting on Governor Cooper's decision on that. So that's kind of where I am with any appeals that I have, and to be honest, it's rather stressful because I live day to day. I live a reality where they might call me up front and say you're free to go, or they might never say anything, and I can very well die in prison. So yeah, thank you for asking that question. I'm sure there are. I would have to. I have an advocate, Ms. Kristen Anderson. She started out as my mitigation specialist for the Miller hearing, and she's currently my advocate on both avenues. I would have to put you in contact with her, and she would know best how you guys might support those efforts. And thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma. So I am in this area, and actually a lot of my friends who have to run this school to prison pipeline. If you're comfortable sharing, are there any experiences you have where you're going to be to run for incarceration that are in
Could you repeat maybe like the last two sentences? Your cadence is a little quick and I couldn't follow.
Sorry, sure. Are there any experiences you might have in the school system? Here that you feel might have contributed to your incarceration or not?
Yeah, so yes, it's kind of a complicated story. I entered the foster system at about the age of 10, and over the course of about 6 years, I moved to 4 or 5 different schools. Lived in an orphanage, a number of foster homes, a couple of group homes. And so I say that to kind of give you a broader context. There wasn't anything negatively that was going on in the schools that I attended that contributed. It was more my domestic situation. I've had tremendous opportunities in life. And I didn't have the domestic stability that would put me in an ideal position to just take advantage of those opportunities. So I can't really say anything negative about how my educational experience contributed to my coming to prison.
Can you explain to the group of people the thinking when you was the youth, the thinking now? Can you explain, why a person thinking they would at that tender age, give them like outlook on what would make you do that decision? To me, your mind is like mature enough to know that you shouldn't do certain things. Right. Say all things.
Right.
Okay, well,
Okay, I got you. Thank you. So that's one of the things that we commonly say. We say in counseling and mental health, we say that hurt people hurt people. And beyond being immature and being a youth, I was in a very dark place. About, I don't know, 3 months before I committed my crime, my mother kicked me out. And I was living kind of this itinerant life of, sometimes staying with my aunt, sometimes staying with people. And listen, I didn't love myself. I didn't think that other people loved me. And that's a very difficult context in which to try to discern, things like just human value. Like what is another person's property worth? What is another person's life worth? And then you factor in just some of that pain and some of the anger that I was dealing with. Most of my behavior was informed by that, and unfortunately, most of my behavior was negative. And
you have 60 seconds remaining.
Should I call that?
It's gonna be that's gonna be all the time, and I appreciate the time.
Okay.
We have to call back around because we have the question and answer. So yes,
okay, cool. Okay. All right. Well, listen, guys. Thank you for the opportunity and thanks for having me. Okay.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
all right. Right now we have.
Sorry.
Sally, that's
Yeah. And if you have any please feel free to go, or just go, yeah.
I'll make this really fast, because you have heard from the expertise, Christopher and Robert and Daniel, and they are prime examples of why resistance on the inside is what helps us learn how to help change on the outside. Some of you have asked of ways that you can help through SVW. You might remember the COVID hotel back when COVID first started in Durham, and people who have been in prison were shipped there for their outcome from getting out without any support or things like that. We make what are called ZAP calls, ZAP, and you receive a script to help with your call to a legislator or someone who's running our institutional system, help voice their grievance for them. That comes from the inside out. So that's a way to be supportive. And also, we're very involved right now with a petition that's come out of Alexander Correctional Institute in the western part of the state. Some of this stuff never makes the news. There are people on a hunger strike there, but we've taken their petition directly to legislators through Zoom calls and trying
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. This call is from
Robert Mann.
an inmate at Nash Correctional Institution. This call will be monitored and recorded for customer assistance. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello?
I think, do we have any more questions for, Robert or Christopher, or we just want to get these answers another,
Oh, man, we both, appreciate, this opportunity. We both, very appreciative of, man Daniel, number one, doing what he says he's gonna do. That's like the number one rule in prison or in life in general, is always doing what you say you're gonna do. And so many times you hear guys saying they're gonna do this or write you or send you money or get in contact with a loved one for you and never do. But Gang is one of the rare guys who not only did all of those things, but also reached back in to give me and Chris a platform. What you might not know is me and Chris are we're brothers. Number one, my mom is his mom, my dad is his dad. We family. Going through this situation and seeing his struggles and seeing him overcome and him seeing my struggles and seeing me overcome is priceless. And so a lot of guys don't have that kind of relationship. It's weird in here to be so close to someone because a lot of guys don't know how to be close without trying to get something out of it. So when you have this organic, how can I say, love for an individual and not be of the same blood is encouraging that again as human beings that even though we have differences or not come from the same place or not do the same things and our culture or our things are different, we can still agree on something in humanity and grow together. And that's one of the things that Chris has been able to do, and along with Dash being a close friend of ours as well. It's like it's refreshing to know that he's out there doing what he says he's going to do and empowering us to have a voice to let people like you guys who are compassionate and want to advocate for us to hear. It's very much appreciated. I can't even really put it in words. I'm trying to think my mind's like literally running 1,000 miles an hour trying to say thank you to everybody.
I appreciate it. If you want to hold the door, I'm going to let Sally go ahead and do her part. Finally, at the end, we'll even have to get more
okay.
questions answered. Just hold on a second. Go ahead, Sally.
We've also got the quarterly release letter that is written by people who are and that's an empowering kind of experience for many of us. And so we've got this up here. If you want to take one. The other part that first got me into this is the pen pal opportunity where people who are in prison will write and request having a pen pal. One of my pen pals I've been in touch with now for 4 years. He is a voracious writer, especially of poetry. And I'm going to read just one of many, many, many that I've gotten from, his name is Paul, and it's called Theoretically Speaking, and then I'll stop after this. Theoretically speaking, if I could capture my dreams and store them away, I would view them again some other day. If I could fly like a bird with wings in the air, I'd take flight from this place and leave my despair. If I could speak to the dead and know what's beyond death, I'd live accordingly before my last breath. If I see God face to face and give my account, for my sin, I fall forward on my face and beg to be let in. Lots of us are begging to be let in to each other's lives. The sad but true reality about these poems, I just got this in a letter from Kalel. And if we were meeting today in our twice a month SVW meetings, I'd be sharing this. He was transferred to another site. We don't get notification of that. We just up and go. That sent. All of his poetry was tossed out. So we're talking 25, maybe years of volumes of books. He's looking into what his civil rights are about that and how a group like ACLU or anyone who can advocate on his behalf to see what could happen about this. So that's a small story, but it's big in the life of one person. So thank you for what you're doing. I've heard lots of people say you're the generation that's gonna be carrying this torch, and maybe you will be the ones to bring down the prison industrial complex. And for that, thank you.
Daniel will be around to answer any more questions that you all might have. Greg and Linda, also organizers of SBW, will be here and answer any questions about solidarity beyond the walls. And let's clean up the room. Thank you all. And thank you, Robert and Chris. Any more questions for that?
Yes, no problem. We appreciate you guys.
There we go. Yeah, so.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Yes, Kristen Anderson also, who is Christopher's mitigation specialist